So we actually just got into the third line from the top, the way I recall it. Where we started talking about the difference between oil and shefa. And to paraphrase it on a more precise and a practical level, it would be oil pnimi and oil makif. And then we discuss oil pnimi and oil makif. Both are originate in the atzmos. As we explained, the difference in oil pnimi and makif that is not formed, it's not the result after the fact, after they begin to function. It is in origin, in inception, or pnimi and or makif. At the inception level, they come forth in different presences. Or pnimi comes forth in the form of a metzias dover, of a definable element. Or makif comes forth in its inception in what's called AYIN, an undefinable matter, a presence that is not defined, does not define itself. And now we'll start on the third line. We discussed the meaning of AYIN. It really is a very significant concept that is an imperative in human thought. An imperative in human thought. Without AYIN, a human being does not really think like a human being. He's aware of only experiential things, tangible things. But that is not human thought. Human thought is based on a recognition of a source, of a reality. We put in all kinds of different terms. What is it about? Why is it there? What's the behind it, and so forth. However you put it, it is not the experiential thing, that which I'm confronted with. That's not the basis of human thought. So we start on the third line, on Kufman Dalet. V'hainu, which actually points to the fact that Tchilas Oifen HaHamshocha, that the very starting point in the manner of the Hamshocha, the manner of the bringing forth, V'hahisgalo Shalohei, and the revelation aspect, where they come forth, these two aspects of Ein Makif and Ein Pnimi, both, as we said, originate in the Atzmos. There is fundamental truth to both of them. The Atzmos provide for both of them. But they come forth from outside in a completely different way. You know Atzmos. Hine, hu oy pnimi, the oy pnimi, that is meant to have a specific effect, to be imbued and to be internalized. Nimtzo min ha'atzmos. We spoke yesterday about this term, nimtzo min ha'atzmos. Nimtzo, the word nimtzo, I'm just repeating it because it's very telling, this kind of expression. Nimtzo min ha'atzmos. Doesn't use the word nimshach and so on. Nimtzo. Nimtzo, the word nimtzo has two implications. Nimtzo means it is present. And nimtzo means it's found. It has a presence from the Atzmus. But in what way does it have a presence? Because it exists. It's found, it's present. Minu Atzmus from the Atzmus. Bebechinas Metzius Dover. In a bechina, in a manner, pardon me, in something that is identifiable. Bechina, identifiable as Metzius Dover, as a tangible, as an entity that can be identified and defined. So it comes from the Atzmus. Atzmus is a completely different reality. This comes from the Atzmus. When it says it comes from the Atzmus, means it has a fundamental reality. Atzma identifies it as, hey, this is real. And in what way does it present itself? It presents the Atzma in Metzius Dover, as a definable entity. We'll come back to this. I just wanted to emphasize what we're going to come down to. Again, the word Nimtzum Minu Atzmus we discussed yesterday a little bit longer. The word Nimtzum means found. As I said, there are two translations directed. When you walk in the street and you find an article that somebody lost, it says two things. Somebody lost this article. You found it not because somebody lost it. That's his loss. You found it because it is a real presence. You came upon it not because somebody lost it. You came upon it because it's there. Because it has a real presence. Except that when you found it, it did not come into being at the moment when you found it. You found something that exists. Except you found it at this moment. Nimtzum Minu Atzmus means precisely this. It comes from the Atzmus, but it is not that it is now the novelly created. In the Atzmus, everything is present. It's a reality in the Atzmus. Just like the found article is real in the world. Before you found it, it was also there. Nimtzum Minu Atzmus. We find it because it is present in the Atzmus. Therefore, what we find is an Atzmus level reality. We're not being fooled. This is real. Both of these, or makif and or pnimi, is Nimtzum Minu Atzmus. And both representative of the Atzmus. And we find it because it is there.
To remain on this call, press 1.
A found object is an element of surprise when you come across it. Is that relevant here, that element of from nowhere?
No. Think about it. The element of surprise is a very superficial element. Oh, look what I got.
I don't mean surprise in that sense. I mean an innovation beyond process. It arrives on the scene. It's found here. I don't mean emotionally. I mean
I understand the
outside your
gain,
getter, right?
the gain, the benefit, and so forth. This
No,
is all
no,
superficial.
No, that it's outside your getter. That it's innovation. It appears on the horizon.
No.
Okay.
Nobody says it appears in the horizon. I found something that was there before, and I was lucky to stumble upon it. The surprise is only on a personal basis level, but in terms of the object, it is real. There is no element of doubt. When you found something in the street, is it real? There's no element of doubt about it.
Right, but there's a great element of this is unusual, this is surprising.
That's on a personal basis, not on the object.
Okay, so it's got nothing to no relevance here. Fine.
No relevance to the object. That's right. And nimtzum in atmos. That's why the nimtzum in atmos. It is something which is present in the atmos, and we find it as such. It's real. And our pnimi is nimtzum in atmos. We begin as metzius dover. In the metzius dover reality, as an identifiable and a tangible element. The hoer makif, nimtzo minu atmos, is present from the atmos, bibchinas ayin, in an ayin reality. Both are very real. The Metzius Dover is very real, and the Ayin is very real, because it's nimtzum in atzmos. It is something which is a real presence in the atzmos, and now it's nimtzo. It is brought forth as it was in the atzmos itself. Just like you find an article. Bibchinas ayin, in an ayin definition. Bibchinas means how you define something. It's an ayin definition. We discussed it a little bit, and clearly this is something which cannot be defined in words, and everyone has to find the words that are being said, but then find it in his own intelligence. Because he's got the gift and the blessing of human intelligence. And human intelligence is a deep insight of reality that says that things are there not because they happen to be there. They're there because there's reality behind it. They represent a reality. Bibechinas. Bibechinas means by an identity called ayin. Identity called dover. At its inception, these two nimtzum minu atzmos, these two presences from the atmos, differ in this aspect. They're both nimtzum minu atzmos. Except one is nimtzum minu atzmos abechinas dover, as a definable entity, and one is nimtzum minu atzmos as ayin. We discussed yesterday what kind of nimtzum minu atzmos ayin. We discussed it quite extensively, and again, this is something which one has to reflect in himself, to himself and to his own intelligence. He must find it in his own intelligence. This is the meaning of hinay. Pnimi means observe that which you see already, but I'm calling your attention to it, and I'm going to discuss it and point things about it out about it. But if you don't you don't see it, then I have nothing to talk about. You have the ability to see it, and the only way you're going to see it, even no matter how much you're being exploited, is only if you have an interest to see it. Which is what we said yesterday. The most important aspect of the teacher-student relationship is that the teacher wants to teach and the student wants to learn. By that, then the teaching is insignificant and the learning is not real. Continued on the end of the fourth line. Bezehu, and that points clearly, gamkin, to this other point. These differences that we explained, the difference between a makif and a pnimi, explains also this principle, shezeh bo lifoil, v'zeh ein bo lifoil, that one comes by definition lifoil to effect, and one does not come to effect. And that explains in detail. The pnimi, the internalizable oir that is meant to be internalized, because that its general aim and purpose is lifoil to be effective. And to illuminate and to raise the worlds, to bring oil to the worlds. Alkein, for this reason, Tchilas Mitziyusei, who, at the very onset of its presence, Shenimtzo b'Bchinas Mitziyus Dover, that he is present as a Metzius Dover, as an identifiable and definable Metzius. Because at its very inception, it has this aim to be effective, to make a point. The whole Pu'ula, being that any Pu'ula, any action, or any effect, Shayach is possible only kishehu b'mitzius dover dafka. Something that is a mitzius dover, in a state of mitzius dover as a tangible and definable thing, dafka, then you can be effective. Then you can have a pu'ula, an action. So a pnimi, its inyan, its intent is to make an impression in the world. This is why it comes in the form of Metzius Dover. So that the world will know there is something there that talks to it. The oil makif, and then on the other hand the oil makif, who is of such definition, who nimtzo, it is present b'bchinas ayin. It is present in an ayin identity. It has a presence, but its identity of its presence is in an ayin manner. It's present and it's constantly concealing its presence. let's see if we can bring this to a next step. We gave the mashal of a house, of a home. A home has two primary messages. One is there is room over here, open space, you can come in. On the other hand, no matter how much you are unaware, there's nothing obstructing your maneuvers. There's something there. You're not in the jungle. You're not in the outside. You're within confines, within a definable entity. So ayin is a real presence, but it conceals its presence within itself. And for you, who is benefiting from that presence, it's only important to remember that you're within a presence. It does not going to in any way interfere with your activity. Like we said, if you so choose to bring a horse into the house, you could. But it's incumbent upon you to realize it doesn't belong there. And if you don't realize, then you are, so to speak, unaware, understanding who is providing this space for you and why. So it's providing in an ayin manner, but you have to remember that it's a provision. That's up to you. This is where your intelligence is challenged. On its own, it's not going to interfere, prevent you from using it any which way you want. This is become a sign. This ayin, this is where the human intelligence, the real intelligence, surfaces. There's nothing compelling me to behave in one way or another in this home, except for my intelligence. It's completely my own choice to respect this moment, this spot. It itself is not going to protest one way or the other. It's ayin.
Seems like in the mashal there are simanim that the ayin is providing.
Such as?
All the normal stuff that makes a person realize he's in a home, not a warehouse. But when you go to the nimshal, seemingly there the ayin is much less, call it prescriptive. It's not giving simanim at all.
It's not giving simonim on a tangible level, but it's definitely giving simonim to the intelligent, to the human intelligence. When one steps out on the outside, if he observes the open space, the sky, the ocean, the desert, the whole thing. It's not precluding any kind of activity. But it's not nothing. What is this about? Why does the sun rise? And why does it set? What's the moon about? And what's the stars about? What's the ocean about? What's the river about?
So okay, so that's to say that if human intelligence is engaged, you will sort of discern the situation correctly. It's only by disengaging that you'd have the halal, like we talked about yesterday.
If you're an idiot, that's exactly what we're saying. It is human intelligence that sees and relates to the reality.
And this seeing and relating means it calls forth a certain array of behavior or things.
No, perhaps you can say respect. There's something. I'm not in a jungle.
Uh-huh.
It's provided for me. I have to respect what we're providing and for who is providing it.
Right. Okay, good. Just to put a point on it, in yesterday's shir at the beginning we said the nothingness is not like the worldly nothingness, which is like a wasteland. Anything could happen there. We're not talking about that kind of ayin. But then afterwards, when we spoke, let me just finish this. When we spoke at Mincha time, it was said that this ayin has sort of a positive and a negative. So I got thinking, well, doesn't that come down to the same thing, that hey, anything can happen? It's kind of no man's land.
In the reality, even the term no man's land already contradict nothingness. Nothingness is only the result of one's intentional oblivion of where he is. I don't care, I'm only interested in myself. Because if his intelligence is in gear, it's never nothingness.
It's never a wasteland, it's never a nothingness.
No, it's wasteland. What's wasteland? Land.
Land that's wasted.
Wasteland means open land.
So that's as if to say the halal doesn't really have any kind of existence without us denying intelligence.
That's right. I mean, cholol, yes, cholol is open space, but it's not emptiness. It is not nothingness. It's provided for you. It's provided so that you can develop there.
It just does not yet have the sort of the positive face of ayin. It's sort of undeveloped, you could call it.
And the reason it is presented this way, listen to this, so that you can identify and define it according to your likes, according to how your intelligence directs you to define your life. But it's a must for you to refine your life. You can become a farmer, you can become a carpenter, you can become a musician, you can become a scholar. All of these things are within the purview, within the accessibility, provision of this cholol. And you can choose to completely ignore this cholol. and waste your time in it. That's not the way what it's meant for. This is where you intentionally give up on